Sometimes, in the middle of a perfectly ordinary day, something feels wrong. Not wrong like a problem you can fix. Wrong like a frequency. Like your body is tuned to a signal the world stopped broadcasting a long time ago. You sit in a meeting and your legs want to move. You stare at a screen for 8 hours and something underneath your ribs feels like it's suffocating. You eat food that was engineered to be perfect and it still doesn't satisfy whatever it is that's hungry. You sleep in a temperature-controlled room on a mattress designed by scientists and you lie awake anyway. You're not sick. You're not broken. You are, in a very specific and measurable sense, a creature living in the wrong era. And the real answer to why that keeps happening is far stranger than stress, or modern life, or too much screen time. Because it's not about what the world is doing to you. It's about what you were built to do. And how completely the modern world has removed every opportunity to do it. Start with your body. Not your mind, your body. The physical structure you're carrying around right now. Your skeleton, your muscles, your cardiovascular system, your gut, your hormones, none of it was designed by evolution for the life you're actually living. It was designed for a life of near constant movement across varied terrain. Carrying things. Climbing things. Walking 8 to 12 miles every day just to survive. Sprinting occasionally in genuine life or death situations. Lifting, digging, building, hauling. Anthropologist Daniel Lieberman at Harvard has spent his career studying what he calls the mismatch between the bodies evolution gave us and the lives we now ask them to lead. His research shows that the human body is not simply poorly adapted to modern life. It is specifically, measurably built for a kind of physical existence that almost no one alive today actually has. Your heart didn't evolve to sit. Your gut didn't evolve for processed food. Your eyes didn't evolve for a flat screen 2 feet from your face. Your stress hormones didn't evolve to stay elevated for months over spreadsheets and deadlines. They evolved to spike for 30 seconds while you ran from something that wanted to eat you, and then drop back to baseline when the danger was gone. This is what the mismatch actually looks like from the inside. Your body keeps firing signals designed for one world, into a world that no longer receives them. You feel restless at your desk because your legs are supposed to be covering ground. You feel unfocused after lunch because your blood sugar is responding to food your digestive system never learned to process efficiently. You feel a low-grade, sourceless dread at 2 p.m. because your cortisol system is running a cycle that made sense when threats were physical and immediate, and it has nowhere to discharge. You are not responding incorrectly to your life. You are responding correctly to a mismatch between your biology and your environment. Now take that same logic and apply it to your mind. Because the cognitive mismatch is even more disorienting than the physical one. Your brain evolved in a world of radical variety. Every day brought genuinely new challenges. Navigation. Social negotiation. Tool use. Tracking animals. Reading weather. Identifying plants. Problem solving that used your hands, your memory, your spatial reasoning, your body, and your social intelligence all at the same time. Psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi spent decades studying what he called the flow state, the experience of being completely absorbed in a challenging task that stretches your skills to their limit. He found that this state, which people consistently describe as among the most satisfying experiences of their lives, shares almost every feature with what hunter-gatherers experience during a successful hunt or a complex piece of craftwork. Your brain didn't evolve for repetitive, narrowly defined tasks. It evolved for the kind of whole-person engagement that the modern world has almost entirely replaced with something that looks like productivity but feels like suffocation. This is why you feel more alive on a camping trip than you do in a meeting. It's why building something with your hands produces a satisfaction that emailing about it never does. It's why travel, even exhausting travel, leaves most people feeling more awake than a week of comfortable routine. Your brain is receiving the full-spectrum input it evolved to need, and it responds with the full-spectrum engagement it evolved to produce. The modern world is not a bad world. It is an extraordinarily successful world by almost every objective measure. You are safer, warmer, better fed, and longer lived than your ancestors. But evolutionary success and psychological fitness are not the same thing, and the gap between them is exactly where that sourceless dissatisfaction lies. Evolutionary biologist Robert Sapolsky, whose research on stress has redefined how scientists understand human physiology, makes a point that should feel uncomfortably familiar. He argues that the human animal is uniquely capable of generating a full stress response to something that exists only in the imagination. You can sit perfectly still in a climate-controlled room and produce the same cascade of cortisol, adrenaline, and threat response activation that your ancestor produced when a lion appeared on the horizon. In fact, you can sustain it for years. Because abstract threats, the performance review, the social media post, the unpaid bill, the uncertain future, never resolved the way physical threats did. Your ancestor's stress response turned on, peaked, and turned off. Yours turns on, and then keeps running because the thing it was designed to resolve never goes away. The lion eventually left. The mortgage doesn't. This is what it actually means to be born 10,000 years too late. Not that modern life is bad, but that your nervous system, your body, your brain, and your social instincts were all calibrated for a world where the problems were immediate, physical, solvable, and shared, and the world you actually live in offers you almost none of those things by default. And here is the strangest part of all. The activities that most reliably produce well-being in modern humans are almost exactly the activities that characterized daily life 10,000 years ago. Movement through varied terrain. Making things with your hands. Face-to-face time with a small group of people who know you well. Spending time in natural environments. Purposeful physical challenge. Adequate sleep governed by natural light cycles. Meals eaten together with people rather than alone in front of screens. Solving problems that have tangible, visible outcomes. None of this is ancient wisdom or alternative medicine. It is the output of decades of psychological and physiological research, all pointing at the same uncomfortable conclusion: the things that most reliably make modern humans feel well are the things that most closely replicate the conditions of life before the modern world existed. You don't need to go back. You can't. The world has moved, and most of what it moved away from was genuinely worth moving away from: the disease, the danger, the brutal uncertainty of a life where famine was one bad season away. But you can stop treating the mismatch as a personal failure. The restlessness in your legs is not laziness. The dissatisfaction with screens is not ingratitude. The hunger that junk food never fully satisfies is not weakness. The anxiety that won't resolve is not a disorder of your character. These are all signals from a body and a brain that were built for a different world, still running the software of a creature who needed to move, build, belong, and face challenges that had endings. You are not 10,000 years too late. You are exactly where you are, carrying everything your ancestors needed, in a world that has, very recently, stopped needing most of it. Sometimes, in the middle of a perfectly ordinary day, something feels wrong. Now you know it isn't you. It's the distance between the world that built you and the world you woke up in this morning.